Welcome to the world of sci-fi stories, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Enjoy the listening. Desperate aliens begged for help. They never expected humanity's fleet. Incoming transmission from Sector 8732, unknown origin, unknown species. The automated voice of the Galactic Council's communication system blared across the Grand Chamber, interrupting what had been up until that moment a thoroughly boring quarterly budget meeting. Council leader Thek Quasar Basa, a 7-feet-tall Zoran with luminescent skin that shifted between shades of blue depending on his mood, currently a dull sub-administrative TDM side, audibly unknown species again. That's the third this cycle, probably just another primitive civilization that accidentally stumbled upon quantum wave technology, and this is now freaking out because they can suddenly hear the universe talking back. Put it through to the Junior Diplomatic Corps. Unable to comply, the system responded with what almost sounded like nervousness. Transmission is using all 17 encrypted Council emergency channels. Simultaneously, a murmur rippled through the assembled representatives of the 247 civilizations that comprised the Galactic Council. Emergency channels were reserved for extinction-level events. All 17 had never been used at once in the Council's 12,000-year history. That's impossible, muttered Ambassador Lorik of the Fuxi Collective, her feathered antenna twitching with alarm. No species should even know about all 17 channels, let alone have the processing power to broadcast on all of them at once. Trix's skin flushed a deep indigo of concern. Origin point day, Sol system, third planet designation Earth. Earth Chancellor Vor of the Mechanoid Alliance scoffed, the lights on his metallic exoskeleton pulsing with disdain. That backwater, their civilization is barely a Class 2. They haven't even unified their planet or established permanent settlements beyond their moon. And yet Grand Admiral Zila Vex noted, her 4 eyes narrowing suspiciously as her scaled tail twitched. If they're somehow broadcasting on channels that only Class 5 civilizations should know exist, put it through. Vex ordered, his skin now a vibrant purple of high alert. By full Council security protocols, tracking algorithms active. The massive holographic display at the center of the Council chamber flickered and then resolved into the image of, well, something the assembled representatives had trouble processing at first. Is that a mammal? Ambassador Krell of the Reptiloid Dominion asked, not bothering to hide his disgust. The creature was bipedal with pinkish tan skin, a shock of brown fur atop its head, and disturbingly exposed facial features. It wore some sort of artificial covering over most of its body, blue on the bottom, half white on the top. Greetings, Galactic Council, it said in perfect standard Galactic, causing several representatives to gasp. My name is Commander Maya Rodriguez of Earth. We know you've been watching us. We know you've classified us as a primitive species, unworthy of contact, but right now that's the least of anyone's concerns. The human Maya looked over her shoulder as a tremendous booming sound shook the visual feed. Sparks erupted from somewhere off-screen and several more humans could be seen rushing around in the background. We are under attack, she continued, her voice steady despite the chaos. The entity you know as the Void Collective has entered our system. They've already destroyed our outposts on Mars and Europa. Earth defenses are holding, but our analysts give us less than 48 hours before they break through. Chancellor Vorks leaped to his feet. Impossible. The Void Collective is contained behind the quantum barrier in the Andromeda Galaxy. They couldn't possibly. Well, someone forgot to tell them that. Maya shouted, her composure cracking as another explosion rocked her location. Look, we don't have time for your disbelief. We need help, not for us. We're probably done for, but because if they've broken through here, they'll be coming for you next. We've attached our sensor data, weapon schematics, and everything we know about their new technology. Thex's skin had gone nearly black with shock. How do you even know about the Void? Maya laughed, actually laughed, though there was no humor in it. You think you're the only ones who've been keeping secrets. Humanity has known about the wider galactic community for over a century. We've been preparing, building, but we're not ready for this. Not alone at tea. The feed suddenly distorted and Maya looked at something off-screen with an expression the council members couldn't quite interpret. When she turned back, her face had changed, harder, more resolved. If you won't help us, fine. but at least heed our warning. They're back. They're stronger, and the quantum barrier didn't hold. And if Earth falls, you're next." The transmission cut out abruptly, leaving the council chamber in stun. "Silence, verify Thex," finally ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Check the quantum barrier status now." And 10 seconds later, alarms began blaring throughout the council headquarters. "This is preposterous." Chancellor Vorx pounded his metallic appendage on the council table. "Sending an ambassador to a Class 2 civilization based on what? A fancy transmission and some unverified claims about the Void Collective. For all we know, this could be an elaborate trap." The emergency council session had been running for 6 straight hours. The quantum barrier monitoring stations had confirmed a disturbing irregularity, not a full breach, but definitely something that shouldn't be happening, enough to make even the most skeptical representatives nervous. Admiral Zelvex flicked her tongue in irritation. "And what if it's not a trap, Chancellor? What if these humans are telling the truth? The Void Collective consumed 3 galaxies before we managed to contain them. If they found a way to bypass the barrier, then we gather the combined fleet and prepare for war." Vorx interrupted. "We don't waste time coddling primitives who probably caused this mess in the first place with their reckless experimentation." Equazar, whose skin had been cycling between deep purple anxiety and red frustration throughout the debate, raised all 4 of his hands for silence. "The preliminary analysis of the data packet the humans suggest they're telling the truth. Our long-range sensors haven't been able to penetrate the Sol system since the transmission, which is consistent with Void Collective jamming tactics." Ambassador Lore's feathered antenna drooped. "So we're just going to abandon them? A sentient species asking for our help. Since when do you care about mammals?" Loric Ambassador Craxy snorted, a puff of steam escaping his nostrils. "Last council cycle, you voted against providing drop relief to the Canids of Sirius B. That was different. They enough." Thex's skin flashed a blinding white, stunning everyone into silence. "The Void Collective is the greatest threat this galaxy has ever faced. If there's even a chance the humans are telling the truth, we need to know. And if they've somehow managed to hold off an attack for this long with their limited technology, well, that would be information worth having." Grand Admiral Zelex nodded thoughtfully. "The humans claim to have weapon schematics in conventional technologies. If those prove effective against the collective." "Precisely," Thex said, "which is why I'm proposing a compromise. We send a single ambassador, volunteer only, with a small, heavily armed escort. Their mission: verify the human claims, retrieve any useful technology or strategies, and extract any survivors with valuable knowledge. If it's a trap, by the ambassador's ship is equipped with a quantum singularity self-destruct that will eliminate any threat." Chancellor Vor's lights pulsed skeptically. "And who exactly would volunteer for this potential suicide mission?" A low, grelly voice spoke from the corner of the chamber, where the shadows were deepest. "I will go." Every head turned to stare at Ambassador Krell Nox, representative of the Obsidian Concordat. The Concordat rarely participated in council debates, preferring to observe from the sidelines. Their species was ancient, mysterious, and possessed abilities that made other council members deeply uncomfortable. Krell Knx stepped forward, his black crystalline form absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "My people, remember the Void Wars. We have unfinished business with the collective." A chill swept through the chamber. No one spoke for several long moments. "Very well," Thex finally said, his skin settling into a grim gray. "Ambassador Nox will depart for Earth immediately. May the stars guide your path, Ambassador, and the fate of the galaxy may depend on what you find there." Krell Nox inclined his angular head. "If the humans are still alive when I arrive, that will already tell us something important." "And what's that?" asked Chancellor Vorx. "That we've severely underestimated them. First, contact Ambassador Krell Nox's quantum shifted vessel materialized in Earth orbit, immediately engaging its advanced cloaking system. The ship's sensors struggled to make sense of the chaos below. Debris from shattered satellites and space stations formed a dangerous cloud around the planet. Periodic flashes of energy lit up the atmosphere, unmistakable signs of ongoing orbital Bombardment Void Collective Presence confirmed the ship's eye and announced dispassionately detecting 13 Void Harvesters in high-orbit Bray World Eaters attempting atmospheric entry. Current probability of planetary survival 17.8%. Krell Nox absorbed this information silently, his crystalline form pulsing with dark energy. The humans had been telling the truth. More importantly, they were still fighting after what appeared to be days of continuous assault. Impressive. For a Class II civilization, locate the source of the original transmission, he ordered. Source identified: underground facility, designated no raid North American continent. Heavy void activity in the area. Facility, shields holding but significantly degraded. Take us in maximum stealth protocols. The ship dove through the debris field, skillfully evading both human and void sensors. As they penetrated the atmosphere, K got his first close-up view of the conflict. Human aircraft, laughably primitive by Council standards, were engaging void scout ships with what appeared to be kinetic weapons. How quaint, and yet somehow they were occasionally succeeding in bringing down enemy craft. Fascinating, Krell murmured. They're using physical projectiles, accelerated to hypersonic velocities, that the Void's energy shields are calibrated for energy weapons, not physical impacts. The ship slipped through a gap in the mountain, just as a void beam sliced across the landscape, vaporizing the defensive installation inside the human facility. Alarms blared as the quantum distortion from Krell's arrival triggered their sensors. When the airlock opened, Krell found himself facing 24 humans pointing primitive but undoubtedly lethal weapons at him. Leading them was the female from the transmission commander, Maya Rodriguez. Hold fire, she ordered, stepping forward. With remarkable confidence, Ambassador Nox, I presume you made good time. Kell was momentarily stunned into silence. This was how they greeted a superior life form. No prostration, no formal protocol. The female was actually grinning at him despite the apocalypse raining down outside. You recognize me? He finally managed the obsidian conord at his pretty distinctive. Maya shrugged. Plus, we've been monitoring Council communications for decades. Sorry about that. Didn't want to announce ourselves until we absolutely had to. A tremendous boom shook the facility, causing dust and small fragments of concrete to rain down from the ceiling. None of the humans even flinched, so Maya continued, casually checking something on a primitive wrist device. And we got about 14 minutes before the next wave hits, and maybe 30 before their main force arrives. Coffee. Krell repeated, bewildered. Right. Probably not compatible with your physiology. She glanced at his crystalline form. Let's head to the war room. The Joint Chiefs are waiting in General Park. It's cranky if we're late. Don't mind the mess. Housekeeping's been a little laxed since the apocalypse started. As Krell followed this inexplicable human through the battle-damaged corridors, he observed the other humans they passed. Many were injured, all looked exhausted, yet they moved with purpose, some even calling out jokes to each other as they rushed by. Their behavior defied all logic. By all rights, they should be panicking, surrendering, or at least showing appropriate deference to a being of his status. Instead, one particularly small human actually winked at him as they passed. The Council had clearly miscalculated drastically. The request, the war room, turned out to be a cavernous underground chamber dominated by a massive circular table. Holographic displays showing real-time battle information hovered above it. Technology that should have been well beyond human capabilities. Array around the table were what Krell assumed to be Earth's military leadership, a surprisingly diverse collection of humans in various colored uniforms. It's an older human with silver hair and a face lined with exhaustion stood as they entered. Ambassador Nox, General Elena Park. Supreme Allied Commander, thank you for coming. I'd say it's an honor, but frankly, you're about a week late. Krell's crystalline form pulsed with indignation. The Council only received your transmission 12 hours ago. A younger human with dark skin and a shaved head laughed sharply. ESA, time dilation effects. Void's been messing with local space-time. What's been 12 hours for you has been 8 days of hell for us. Admiral Jackson, please Commander Rodriguez, interjected the ambassador. It is here now, that's what matters. General Park gestured to an empty chair, clearly not designed for Krell's unique physiology, but he appreciated the gesture. Let's get to it. We've lost 30% of Earth's surface. Casualty estimates are in the billions. We've evacuated who we could to underground shelters, but they won't last if the Void deploys their planet crackers. A holographic representation of Earth rotated above the table, large sections glowing in angry red. Krell observed impassively, though internally he was stunned by the extent of the devastation. The good news, continued a human female in a lab coat, is that we figured out some of their weaknesses. Darlene Chin, Chief Science Officer, the voice computational architecture is based on quantum singularities, but they operate on a predictable oscillation pattern. We've developed algorithms that can temporarily disrupt their systems. She manipulated the hologram to show what appeared to be weapon schematics. Our phase disruptors have been moderately effective against their smaller vessels. Problem is we can't scale the technology fast enough to take on their larger ships. What exactly are you requesting from the Council? Krell asked, getting straight to the point. General Park's expression hardened. We need your fleet, all of it now. Krell's crystalline structure darkened. Impossible. The Council would never commit. Then we all die, Park interrupted flatly. First us, then you. The Void hasn't just evolved. They've completely transformed their strategy. They used to harvest planets indiscriminately. Now they're targeting specific worlds with strategic value. Dr. Chen brought up a new hologram, a map of the galaxy with certain systems highlighted. They're moving systematically through systems with high concentrations of dark matter. We believe they're using it to power a new form of faster-than-light travel that bypasses your quantum barrier. If we combine our phase disruptor technology with your fleet's firepower, Admiral Jackson added, we have a fighting chance. Without it, he shrugged eloquently. Commander Rodriguez leaned forward. We're not asking you to save humanity, Ambassador. Most of us accept that Earth is probably lost. We're asking you to take our technology, our strategies, and as many of our best people as you can evacuate and use them to stop the Void before they hit the next system. Krell was silent for a long moment. The Council classified your species as primitive. How did you develop this level of technology without detection? A ghost of a smile crossed General Park's face. We've been preparing for this day since Roswell. Ambassador, turns out not everyone in the galaxy respects Council non-interference directives. We've had help and a healthy paranoia about extinction-level events. Chen added with a grim smile, nothing motivates innovation like the fear of annihilation. A tremendous explosion shook the facility, causing several displays to flicker. Time's up, Park said grimly. What's it going to be, Ambassador? Will you help us fight, or will you watch us die and then follow shortly after? Absolutely not. Chancellor Vor's mechanical body trembled with what passed for rage among his kind. Committing the entire combined fleet based on the word of primitives and a single ambassador. The Obsidian Concordat has always had strange fascinations with lesser species. The emergency council session had devolved into near chaos. Ambassador Krell Nox's holographic form stood silently in the center of the chamber as the debate raged around him. He had transmitted the humans' request along with their technical data and his own observations immediately upon returning to his ship. The evidence is compelling. Admiral Zelvex countered, her tail lashing dangerously. The Void Collective has indeed breached the quantum barrier. The human technology, while crude, shows remarkable innovation. Their phase disruptors could be adapted to our vessels within days. Council leader Thex, whose skin had been a steady, anxious purple throughout the entire session, raised his hands for quiet. What of these claims that the humans have had outside assistance? Could this be a trap laid by Council separatists? Unlikely. Krell Nox's resonant voice cut through the babble. I performed deep scans of their technology components and designed philosophies from at least 7 different civilizations, including some thought extinct, have been incorporated into their systems. But the integration methods are uniquely human, crude but effective. They are cobbling together survival from scraps, yet somehow making it work. Ambassador Lore's feathered antenna quivered. And you believe they can actually hold out long enough For our fleet to arrive, no, Krell replied flatly. Earth will fall within days. But their leadership knows this. They're not asking us to save their planet. They're offering us their knowledge, their best.